Rabia.
Hey, Ellyn. How you doing?
How are you?
Good. You look really pretty.
Thank you. You too. I'm enjoying your little plug of Fatty
Oh,
Fatty
no,
Boom Boom.
I swear that wasn't even on purpose.
Oh my God, this whole thing? What? This book now available on paperback? Who even knew?
One of my besties made this one-of-a-kind mug for me. I drink my chai in it almost every morning.
Of Fatty Fatty Boom Boom?
Yeah.
Available now in your local bookstore on Amazon.
Available in paperback,
also on
yeah.
Audible. Oh my God, I didn't even know. This whole
Critically
thing?
acclaimed. This whole thing. And yes, I gotta do that every week. What are you selling? Ellyn,
No,
what are you
nothing.
selling?
I'm just moving out of the way for your plug. Hello, everyone, and welcome to About Crime. We are bi-weekly here.
Damn crime, not just crime.
What did I say?
You said about crime.
About damn crime.
Yeah, we're angry about this crime.
Yeah, we're angry about this crime. We are available bi-weekly on your general feed and every week on your Patreon. We also give you watch parties on our Patreon, as well as a couple more things. We just published that. You get lots of bonus content, and you get to hang out with us on our Discord server. And we have been watching the documentaries before the case. The other day, we watched the Menendez documentary, because we will be covering that with investigative journalist, podcaster, Pulitzer Prize winner Maggie Freeling. And you can find us at www.patreon.com/Rabia and Ellyn.
If you say so.
And it's all there. Rabia just shows up when I yell at her on text.
I never know if it's solve the case, Rabia and Ellyn. So, like, there's so many different like URLs. It's like I get confused. So
all of our socials are Rabia and Ellyn. And it's also confusing because it's two A's. It's Rabia and Ellyn.
Yeah.
And also it's
my
confusing.
name messes it all up, yeah.
Because your name is hard and my name is spelled with the... We're just messing people up everywhere.
It's amazing anybody's found us until now.
It's kind of mirrors like our personalities, though.
Yeah.
How are you doing this week? I feel like I just saw you last week, but here we are again, recording another About Damn Crime. What's happening? Tell me one great thing.
I'm operating on 2 hours of sleep. Is that a good thing? No, I mean, like, I nothing. The world is quiet. Not much going on nowadays. You know, it's just
everyone's sleeping.
We're all doing great. Yeah, no anxiety, no worries.
Well, if you are new here, every other week or every week on the Patreon, we bring you a couple of things that are happening in the true crime headlines. Some of them you might know. Some of them might be on the more obscure side, but it's just to keep the conversation going. Make sure we're kind of up to date on what is happening in the world of true crime and justice and what we can do to make this world a better place. Do you want to start, Rabia?
No, because I didn't get to ask you how you're doing.
So my refrigerator broke. I opened my refrigerator the other day. I was like, does this feel warmish or maybe
tropical?
Not cold? And then I opened where I just had 3 new loaves of frozen wild grain bread. And I was like, this bread is soft.
Moldy?
It wasn't moldy yet. It might be by now. It's like a 1-year-old GE refrigerator, so I'm waiting for the refrigerator repairman. Being an adult is horrible. Why anyone wants to grow up faster than they need to is beyond me, because that's my day today.
We bought like the fridge of my dreams last January. No, the January before that. And it was literally $3,500, which is way too much for a fridge. But I'm like, this thing is magic. Like literally 3 weeks before the 1-year warranty, lapsed, it died. It didn't last a year. And the freezer would work, but the fridge wouldn't work. And then we called in a repairman, and he's like, oh, these fridges? Every week one dies. He's like, there's nothing you can do. The motherboards suck. They fry. So like the fridge is fried on the inside. Then we kept it. We moved it to the basement, got another fridge. The company will not call us back. Home Depot won't call us back. We have given up. But I have this $3,500 fridge that it is so hard for me to just like get rid of it because I keep thinking about all the money we spent and how we only use it for 11 months.
What kind of fridge is it?
Should I say the name?
Yes.
It's an LG.
I love LG products. LG?
Yeah, apparently it's this particular model of LG, the repairman said. He said there's something up with this. He's like, every week I'm getting called to see these. And we even, will you believe, Ellyn, I bought a new motherboard and from eBay, and I myself installed it. Went on a YouTube video, I installed it, and it fried out immediately. You could smell it. So there's something wrong in the electrical system itself that it just fries the motherboard.
Yeah, being a grown-up is amazing.
I hate it so much.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that's where I'm at. As soon as I get off this recording, I'm just going to cross my fingers that he's upstairs, and I have to chuck all of my food.
Of course. Oh, you haven't done that yet?
I have been slowly, but I was like, oh, my cold brew coffee can stay in there. Can my dressing stay in there? I don't know.
Oh. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed for your fridge and you.
Thank you. But honestly, it kind of is just a mirror image of you. Like the refrigerator was just like, that's me.
I didn't get enough sleep last night. I'm going to sleep.
But yeah, so that is a true crime. LG and GE, you're on our shit list. Where shall we start, Rabia?
I don't know. How about we can start with a tiny little update on a story that we covered earlier, which was the arrest in the Tupac Shakar murder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the suspect, Dwayne Davis, has pled not guilty, which is, given the fact that he wrote a book and has given multiple interviews, is a bold move, I'd say, on his part. It's so bold, in fact, that his attorney is like, I'm out. He's like, I'm resigning. So he's not representing him anymore. He's gotten a public defender, I think. But since he's pled not guilty, this means there'll be a trial. Mm-hmm. And, I have a feeling that trial is going to be heavily watched. It'll be really interesting.
Yeah. And everyone's going to be so old and their memories won't be very fresh. So that will be very interesting as well.
Yeah. And I don't even know. I feel like everybody else who was apparently in that car from where the fatal gunfire was fired, I'm sorry, my words are not working for me today, is already dead. So he's the only kind of living, but they're going to use his own statements against him. They're going to introduce his book, his interview that he gave to I think gave it to BET, and it's I gave the order. So I don't know how this is going to go. Maybe
if we all turn to our hymnals where you said you did it.
Yeah. It could be that he's trying to call their bluff and saying, okay, I'm going to force them to take me to trial. Maybe this will make the prosecutor offer me a plea deal. Because that is his bet. His best bet is getting a plea deal here. I don't think he cannot be convicted if this goes to trial. So maybe he's, hoping that'll do it. I don't know.
Very interesting.
The nights are getting colder, but I warm up every night with a hot, warm cup of Beam, Ellyn. You know that?
You tried Beam before I did.
Mm-hmm.
And you were so excited because my sweet Rabia has been having sleep problems for a minute.
Yeah, really since my dad died. But, I've always had some level of insomnia when too much is happening in my life. But definitely my dad just took my sleep with him. But Beam has given it back to me.
Yeah, Forbes and New York Times are all talking about Beam. And it is trusted by the world's top athletes and business professionals. Basically, Beam has what they call a dream powder. Mm-hmm. Tell them about the dream powder.
It is a healthy hot cocoa to help you get to sleep. It is just the perfect way to put yourself to bed. So they have different flavors. It has no added sugar. They have cinnamon cacao. They have sea salt caramel, white chocolate peppermint. It's delicious.
So good.
Yeah, sleep's been delicious lately.
Our sleep is the center of everything. Our mental health, our physical health, how we perform at work, how we communicate and act towards each other. Dream contains a powerful all-natural blend of reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, melatonin, and nano CBD to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. And also, it's just a delicious little night treat.
It is. And it's real gentle. It's not like you're going to have your cup and just knock out. It's kind of like a little lullaby to put you to sleep. It's lovely.
Yeah, you just mix it in some hot water or milk. You stir and froth and you just enjoy it. And then you go off into La La Land.
And it comes with a little frother. It's so cute. I love it.
If you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, take advantage of the biggest sale of the year and get up to 50% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/solvethecase.
The discount is auto-applied at checkout, no code necessary. That's shopbeam.com/solvethecase for up to 50% off.
Rabia, say it with me. Ready? Croissant,
croissant.
This episode of Rabia and Ellyn Solve the Case is brought to you by Wild Grain.
Ellyn, that wasn't a word. That was just a sound you made. It wasn't an actual. That was just a sound.
Rabia and I have loved Wild Grain for a while now.
Years.
I actually gave them away as Christmas presents because it is the first ever Bake from Frozen subscription box for sourdough bread, fresh pastas, and artisanal pastries that are so decadent.
Honestly, Wild Grain brought bread and pasta back into my life.
Rabia, tell them what's in your box. Your Wild Grain box.
Well, there's a croissant.
Uh-huh.
We also got a couple of loaves of sourdough bread, 3 or 4 different kinds of pastas, which my daughter loves. I mean, it's something she can handle.
They're so nice and clean. You can taste it. They have a different texture because they're frozen fresh. It tastes so different than dry pastas you get in the store.
Yeah, they use clean, simple ingredients. The sourdoughs are made from slow fermentation process. You can tell this is good for you. Also, I mean, the feeling you have when you pull it out of the oven, you're like, I am Julia Childs here.
I baked. And
Yeah.
you can now fully customize your Wild Grain box so you can get any combinations of breads, pastas, and pastries that you like. If you want a box of all bread or all pasta or all pastries, you can have it.
Yep. Plus, for a limited time, you can get $30 off your first box, plus free croissants in every box when you go to wildgrain.com/solvethecase to start your subscription.
You heard Rabia. Free croissants in every box and $30 off your first box when you go to wildgrain.com/solvethecase.
That's wildgrain.com/solvethecase, or you can use promo code solvethecase at checkout.
You will love it, and they make such a great gift. Make someone's day and give them some bread.
It's a great holiday gift, yeah.
The first story I have, we're going to go to Sydney, Australia. Have you heard this story, Rabia?
No, I don't know. I have no idea what's happening in Sydney.
Okay. Well, I just said Sydney, Australia, and I assumed you knew all the stories there because you know everything. Lilie James was a 21-year-old water polo coach at St. Andrew's Cathedral College, which actually is a very prestigious college in Sydney, Australia. And she had dated a 24-year-old man by the name of Paul Thyssen, who was the hockey coach at the same school. They dated for 5 weeks, and then they broke up. And at 7 p.m. last Wednesday, she was seen walking to the bathroom and at the school, and she was never seen or heard from again. That night around midnight, the police found a woman's body in the gym bathroom, and that woman was found bludgeoned to death with what appeared to be a hammer. The issue was that she was unrecognizable and unidentifiable due to her injuries, but she was able to be identified using fingerprints. And it was identified as this young woman, Lilie James. She was only 21.
Jesus.
So upon very little investigation, CCTV reportedly captured Paul, who was then her ex-boyfriend, entering the bathroom after her. And then what was strange about what happened was that after she was killed, a text message from her phone was sent to her father asking him to pick her up from school.
Wow.
And then hours later, Thyssen phoned police to confess to the murder of Lilie.
He did. Okay.
And they later found out they had a manhunt for him.
Oh, okay. They were already looking for him. Okay.
Well, after he called to confess, but it turned out that he went to an area called Diamond Bay in East Sydney, and he jumped to his death. But around that area, police also found what they called property associated with the homicide. They found a hammer and his backpack with his AirPods, within the proximity of where he jumped. Because shortly after that, a male body was recovered from those rough waters, and it was identified as Paul. This young woman had obviously everything ahead of her. She was very smart. She was very beautiful. But I read this case, and I read how young they were, and I read the circumstances.
Wait, how old was he? She was
24.
Oh my God.
She was 21.
Oh my God.
But this is what I want to talk about today with this. What is happening with men? Because I was combing TikTok when I was looking at this story. This story caught my eye a couple days ago. And you know what's wild that I never actually really thought about, and maybe you have? Why don't men talk about violence against women? Because I see women speaking on it all the time. You and I speak about it. Other women speak about it. But we have somehow made violence against women a
women's problem
issue.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah,
actually
a woman's problem. Yeah.
a man's problem.
Yeah.
Because of all the number of women listening right now to us, it's probably, triple to the men listening right now. So in essence, we're just like kind of talking to ourselves. We're talking in an echo chamber.
Right.
But for the most part, domestic violence is a man's issue.
Oh, I mean, overwhelmingly. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't mean to undermine the struggles of men. I'm in no way
men can also be on the receiving end of DV. That is absolutely correct. However, overwhelmingly, it is not that way.
But often men are victims of other men as well.
There's that too, yeah.
All kinds of crime.
Yeah, of course. I think when it comes specifically to like intimate partner violence, it's because, I mean, this is so, it sounds so simple, but it's because it doesn't affect them. It just doesn't affect them. It's like when we walk down the street and we are in this constant vigil for who's around the corner, who's across the street, how many steps behind me is this guy. This is how, but they don't do it because it doesn't affect them. Like that's all it is. I mean, it is as simple as that. Like after 9/11, the American Muslim community was pressured constantly to condemn terrorism, and we did over and over and over and over. And it's kind of the same thing. You have cops acting, and we did because we didn't know what else to do, right? Like it doesn't matter that I'm not a terrorist and nobody in my family's ever been a terrorist, and I don't even know a terrorist, but I still got to do it because like there's this collective responsibility assigned. Somehow that does not happen for like, for example, state authorities. Like you don't have police officers apologizing for like police brutality. You don't have men saying this is a problem we have to address. I mean, I do think though, however, I think it's interesting in the last, 5, 6, 7, 8 years that there is I've seen more content from male creators talking about toxic masculinity and recognizing that it's a thing even, which is not the exact same thing, but there is obviously a connection there, right? Like, so that's
we need
good.
more powerful men talking about this because the powerful men are trying to strip us of our rights and not stand up for our rights. We need more men talking about it because we have an abundance of women talking about it. This kid was 24 years old. She was 21. They dated for 5 weeks. And that is the bottom line. She was at school. She was working. Women aren't safe. Women aren't safe at work. Women aren't safe at school. Women aren't safe walking at night. Women aren't safe going on a date. Women aren't safe on public transportation. Women aren't safe holding a drink. Women aren't safe putting down a drink. We're not safe walking to our car. We're not safe in our home.
Well, this leads me to another conversation. We've kind of talked about this a little bit, but what you're saying is exactly true, right? So at the same time, it should not be our responsibility to make sure that we don't attract the wrong kind of attention at any point, right? Like,
yes,
like it should not be, and yet we don't have a choice, right? Like we are, like I said, constant vigil. We want to make sure. You're watching your drink. You've got a friend who's going to like be with you. You have somebody to call. You have all these backup plans. You've got your location on your phone. We have all these safety measures constantly in place when we shouldn't have to. So, I mean, I remember having this conversation because we both have teenage girls, right? And it's like we were talking about I've seen my girls when they walk out into the world. I watched, and I'm thinking in my head, she's 12, 13. I'm watching grown men watch, not her, but her body as she walks by. Watch her butt. look at her chat. Like I'm watching this happen and I want to set them on fire, right?
Yeah.
And I immediately feel like she's unsafe. And my first instinct is say, go put on a big sweatshirt, right? Like just because I don't know how else to react to this. It's hard to raise young women to be safe in this society. And I wrote an op-ed, not an op-ed. Well, it was kind of an op-ed. The first time I wrote about me being a survivor of DV, at the end of it, and I wrote this many years after I had left the relationship. I wrote it after many years of actually being an attorney who worked with a lot of women in these situations. And I said, sadly, I feel like this is not a problem because men won't address it, because our leaders won't address it. I couldn't get people in a mosque to be like, can we do a presentation on this? They're like, no, we don't want to do a presentation on this. So I was like, the only option I see is to raise young girls to be like, who will not take any of it, to have really, really sharp boundaries, have really strong boundaries, be really firm. I mean, like, because I don't know how else to protect us. I just don't know.
I don't either. And part of what made me think about this was the headmaster of the school said something to the effect of, oh, this kid wasn't a monster. He had a monstrous moment. I was like, what? What fucking planet am I on right now? And it was like an old dude. But I mean, it's what was she wearing and how many drinks did she have that night? There will be no change. The change will only start with men in power. We just don't have enough power. We don't have enough power in government. We don't have enough power in law enforcement. There is nobody standing up to protect us. And I keep thinking to myself, we talk about this and other survivors hear us and they empathize with us. And we're just talking to ourselves. We're just basically an echo chamber.
I don't want to sound like a skeptic, but I just don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't think it's ever going to happen. And so my question to you is, what do you teach Lola about safety? About safety vis-a-vis in relationship, or do you? I mean,
no, we talk about it all the time. We talk about it all the time, about being safe, about drinking, about, because I really, really want her to feel comfortable with me in a way that I didn't feel with my parents. And I think I'm not blaming my mom. I think my mom was doing the best she could, but I want Lola to feel comfortable calling me drunk from a party.
Right.
And not being scared that she's drunk if she's underage, but knowing that she's in a bad situation and I will come get her out and I will never get mad at you for underage drinking. Yeah. I say that to her all the time. And I always say,
that's
talk
amazing.
about her.
That's wonderful.
But it's true. And I was like, test me. I will keep that promise. I know you didn't. I drank underage. Not really. I was kind of a nerd, but I did.
I haven't even drank overage.
I know. I put myself in precarious situations where I think to myself, holy shit, I got out of there alive. Yeah. What was I thinking? And I think to myself that I was just lucky. And if Lola ever finds herself in that position, I want to be her first call. 100%. And the judgment won't be there because the safety is my number one concern. I never felt that way with my parents. I was always scared of getting in trouble.
I mean, I think it's probably also a generational thing. I mean, totally. I can't imagine, although we are of completely different generations, I know I'm much more aged. Yeah. Much more aged than you. Yeah. But yeah, certainly nobody that I grew up with had a relationship. Nobody, I don't care what their background was, would a parent would be like, come get me. I'm like totally, wasted. It couldn't have happened. Yeah. I think it's a different time.
Teaching them to be offensive, which then again isn't ladylike, is it? But teaching a man to say like, please stop looking at me like that. You're making me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But then are you inviting a crazy person to punch you on the subway?
To hurt you, to physically hurt you,
you are never safe. You're not safe standing up for yourself. Do you know the amount of times I have found myself placating a man who has gawked at me or catcalled at me?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Because what I want to do is say, what the fuck do you think I'm going to do when you What do you think, I'm going to run away to Paris with you and we're going to get married and have 10,000 babies?
Like, this is the way to woo me. No, that is totally about embarrassing you, about making you feel powerless. That's just a way of exerting his power over you. That's it. He's not trying to woo your hand. Yeah. He's trying to make you feel like shit in that moment and feel completely helpless. Yeah. That's the entire, but Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many, but it's one of those things where you're like, do I push back? Do I invite more? What I have always done, not always done, but what I learned to do, like by the time I was in my 30s, was just pretend I hear nothing.
Right.
So no, there's no placating, there's no nothing. Because we've all been through the, well, that's nice. Well, I mean, like, thank you. Okay, I had a boss who, my very first job at a law school, actually I was still in law school and started working from, all he ever did was talk about my chest to other people. My initials are RAC, so he called me the Rack. And I'm like, he was the head of the firm, right? Like that's,
oh my God.
And yeah, and so it's like but I'll say this because it's when I was in my 30s is when I started wearing a scarf, right? And suddenly I became kind of invisible to men. So either they would completely ignore me or they would be like very super formal. So it's because it was just kind of like a don't mess with this bee. Like it became a thing. Which has been very useful in many ways to me.
You said it was kind of like a shield. What do you teach Hanifa? Is she a hard ass?
I tell Hanifa, you don't have to, don't smile at anybody. You don't have to smile at people. Like, don't smile at people. You know what I mean? Like, if you just, I'm like, ignore. I just try to teach her to ignore. But I also try to teach her, like, make sure that you are, when you're out, that you're with friends, your location's on, that you have. And, and she has a group of friends. It's not just, I mean, I hate to say this, but it's not just girls, it's guys. And that makes me feel better that there's a couple of guys from her school with her, too. Because just having a couple of guys there means she's more protected from some idiot on the street. And yeah, I mean, like, so, and I make sure I know all her friends. They're always, like, we are the house where, like, the kids' friends hang out. Like, they all always come to our house because, it's got so much space, Ellyn.
I know. It's
No, we have a big pantry. And so, yeah, I just make sure that I do this. I try to do the same thing where I'm like, you can talk to me about boys. You can talk to me about anything you want. You can talk, you know what I mean?
I mean, this girl was just at work and she dumped him after 5 weeks and a bunch of people said he was creepy and weird and he was off and she tried and this girl was so beautiful. She's 21.
She's a baby. I mean, like, to me, that's a baby. She's a child. That's still a child. I know she's considered a woman, but it really, to my eyes, because I have a 26-year-old, I'm like, that's a baby. That's really, really awful. My
condolences to Lilie James's family, all those kids that went to school at that school. She was a coach, just that whole community. It was an awful tragedy and just so 24. How do you learn how to be so awful to a woman at 20? Like, I don't understand. And I won't understand. And I think you're right. I don't think these things will change while we are on this earth.
I don't think they'll ever change.
Yeah.
As long as this entire group is like, it's not my problem, I'm not on the receiving end of it, there's no incentive for them to. I have noticed men who have daughters then become more aware and interested in these issues. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, it's not even on the radar. Yeah. We think about this all the time. It's not even they're thinking about the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
We're thinking about not getting killed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Just, don't get killed. Don't put your drink down. I mean, it's crazy. 2 people had roofies put in their drinks at Obsess Fest. Did we talk about that?
What?
2 people.
No.
When we were out that night at the roundup. It is so common. Have you seen those videos that they have with idea. How people do it and how fast they do it? Someone can just turn just like that and blink of an eye. They're like sleight of hand.
Is it like liquid or is it like a pill?
Both. Liquid powder. It can be powder. It can be liquid, and they'll just like reach over and they'll just pour it in.
What happened? Obsessed? Were they okay? Like, how did they figure that out? Did they pass out? Like, what happened?
Well, I don't want to say who it was, but it's somebody that you know, and he it was one man and one woman.
What?
Yeah.
The heck? Who was doing that? It's because
they go like zero. They have like one drink, and then it goes to where you.
Do you think it was somebody at Obsess Fest? It was somebody who was a participant of Obsess Fest. You think so?
Probably not. No, because it was when we were at the roundup.
Oh, it was there. It wasn't on the hotel.
Yeah, it was at the roundup.
Oh my God, that's still terrifying.
Anyway,
I did not know that.
I just don't know what's wrong. That's my true crime. What is wrong with men?
It's a recurring theme. I feel like we're going to talk about this more than once.
Rabia, do you go to the gym?
Ellyn, Don't tease me, Ellyn.
I
Listen,
know you love to work out, but CoPilot is here and has been helping both of us stay on a little bit of a better workout schedule.
well, here's the thing I love about Copilot because the truth is, everywhere I go, people ask me all the time. I'm not kidding. How did you do it? How have you done what you've done with your body in the last 5, 6 years? And I've said, I'm working out 6 days a week, but also, you know, I use a trainer. And those two things are so hard for people to deal with because people are like, I don't want to go to the gym and trainers are expensive. And Copilot's like, I got you.
Right. They have experienced coaches that are less like coaches, but they're more like your fitness partners.
No, they're your personal trainers, girl. They're your real life personal trainers.
Right, but they're like your partner in your fitness journey because I can't always get to the gym. I always pretty much only have 20 or 30 minutes from home. And that is what is amazing about CoPilot because they give you step-by-step instructions, the live feedback. So I'm not just looking at a video and it's right in my phone. I can do it from a hotel. I can do it from my home. I can do it from anywhere. I can go on a train and just find a nice quiet corner.
Yeah. The thing is, what people don't realize is when it comes to like exercise, having a trainer, and they're experts. They can tell you that, okay, this is what you want your body to do. Let me show you how to do it. For example, I've been trying to build up my booty, Ellyn. I don't know how to build up my booty. So I asked my trainer, what should I do to build up my booty? And they tell you, okay, this is what you want to do. This is what the moves you got to make. So this is why it's so important. But this app not only allows you to have your own real life personal trainer that is affordable, but it's flexible, like you said, anywhere, anytime. And you have real person accountability because you're connected to a real person.
Yes, I need that. I really need that person pushing me, and I need the flexibility with my schedule. CoPilot just fits perfectly into my life, and we would love for you to follow our lead and get fit, but most of all, feel fabulous.
Yep. Give Copilot a try to find out why it was listed by Forbes as the top-rated personal trainer app of 2023.
Head to go.mycopilot.com/solvethecase to get a 14-day free trial with your own personal trainer.
That's go.mycopilot.com/solvethecase to get a free 14-day trial with your very own personal trainer.
Take a back seat and let CoPilot help you reach your fitness goals. And we are right there with you. And here is another sponsor that Rabia and I absolutely love. Rabia, tell them about ZocDoc.
Yeah, ZocDoc has been the answer to so many prayers, especially the prayers of moms who have to schedule like doctor's appointments for 20 different things for 8 different people.
Because here's the thing, you are constantly searching and asking questions and looking at online reviews. You want to find somebody that has the hours that fit with your schedule. You want to find a doctor that's close enough to you. Then finally you find one and boom, they don't have an appointment until 2025.
Yeah. Or they don't take your insurance. I mean, this happens all the time.
So many things. But if you head over to ZocDoc, you can find and book a doctor that is right for you. And most of all, that definitely takes your insurance. And usually you can do it within 1 or 2 days.
So ZocDoc is a totally free app. You can find amazing doctors. You book your appointments online, so you don't have to be on the phone waiting for somebody to tell you, sorry, can't see you for 18 months. And these are not just like any old doctor. We're talking about top-rated, patient-reviewed doctors and specialists. You can filter the ones that take your insurance, located near you. I mean, all those things are in the app.
Go to ZocDoc.com/solvethecase and download the ZocDoc app for free and then find and book a top-rated doctor today.
That's ZocDoc.com/solvethecase, ZocDoc.com/solvethecase. Thank you, ZocDoc. We love you. So I had another story that I caught my eye and I think it's because we talked about that killer nurse in the UK who might not be a killer nurse.
Yes, I was just thinking about this. Do you have an update?
No, I don't, but I do want to follow up on that because, so many people were her colleagues were there's just no way.
That's so wild. Last night while I was researching, I thought of that as well.
Really?
That's so interesting.
Well, no, there's another case, though, of a killer nurse who I think is actually a killer nurse, and she is in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So she was just arrested this past Thursday. A 41-year-old nurse has been accused of killing patients with a fatal amount of insulin. I didn't even not know you could do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this woman, her name is Heather Pressdee. She's been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 17 counts of attempted murder, and 19 counts of neglect of a care-dependent person. all these people were under her care as like they were elderly people. They were like at Quality Life Services was where she was working, which was like a nursing home. She was giving insulin to, well, I mean, one person was 55. That's not elderly. I'm 49. But anyway.
No, it's not elderly.
Not elderly. Isn't 49 the new 29? Please tell me.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Have you seen J-Lo lately? She looks better than ever.
She does. She looks incredible.
I think she was like dipped in 24 karat gold or something. I don't know what she did, or she was like formaldehyded, or all the
she's
oxygen
turning into a
was
natural
taken
bronze
out of her
statue.
body. I have no idea.
Listen, I'm going to fight the light as long as I can. And then
heck yeah, I'm not growing old gracefully. Fuck that.
Oh, all right. So I should not be laughing in the course of the story. But anyway, she administered way too much insulin to a 55-year-old woman, then an 83-year-old man. The 55-year-old and the 83-year-old patients both died, and apparently neither one of them was diabetic. So, but before that, she had apparently done the same with 17 other patients, trying to kill them. So she'd actually only killed two have actually died, but 17 others she attempted to murder. And she would do this when like she was like one of the only people on staff, and it would be at night when nobody else is around. And, you know, she had patients from 43 years old to 104 years old, and girlfriends just knocking them off. The thing is, it's interesting to me. Well, first of all, this makes me think a lot about, like, you know, my dad spent a lot of time in rehab and nursing homes in the last 2 years of his life because he had a couple of strokes and he had a brain injury. And you're always like, I would spend as much time as I could with them. But at the end of the day, when you leave, they are at the mercy of that staff.
So vulnerable.
And yeah, it's
like
kind
a
of
baby.
Like, yeah, they have no idea what is being administered. They cannot protest. Yeah. Sometimes they're just like knocked out anyways. They have no idea what's happening anyways. They're not even conscious. But also, this trope of killer nurse has always been a thing, but it's a real thing. Like there's a reason it exists. It's like the killer clown. I don't know. Yeah, well, Gacy. It's really weird to me because I think of nurses as heroes. I think of them as people who I could never be a nurse because I just could not care for people like that round the clock. I mean, the kind of heart you need, but at the same time, then you have like these little personalities pop in.
But it's like with anything, you know, there are some people who dream of being in law enforcement and protecting and serving. And then there are horrible cops, and there are horrible doctors, and there are lawyers that want to uphold the law. And then there are lawyers it's just like with anything. Like you think a doctor, a policeman, when you're little, those people protect you.
Yeah.
But those people can also hurt you beyond because they have so much innate respect and care. And you see a doctor's jacket and you automatically think they're trustworthy. Why is that?
Here's the thing. I don't know. I have not really heard of a killer doctor trope or an actual like killer. Are there killer doctors who just like
there are, but how would we know about it? Like we have some people in the chat saying messing up insulin will definitely kill you. That's from Leah. Jen is a nurse practitioner. She double and triple checks that kind of thing. But how many times has that happened where, you know, things aren't monitored? And it probably happens all the time, but they don't die from a nurse. They die from cardiac arrest, or they die from something else on paper, but actually it was caused by someone else.
Rachel is like, Dr. Death is a whole podcast, right? Yeah, I remember there was a podcast called, was that about one doctor or a bunch of doctors? I have no idea.
I thought that was just one doctor, but I could be mistaken.
Yeah, but as a trope, it doesn't really exist. But I also do think it might be because it's rare that a doctor pops in on a patient by themselves. Like there's always like nurses around and another doctor and some residents. I'm like, I've almost never seen doctors like pop in by themselves. Nurses, however, this is one-on-one in the middle of the night, 2 a.m. They pop in, do whatever they want.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Anyhow, that could be why another reason that it's not as common.
Where is that woman is she charged with those murders?
She's been charged of all of these things. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I don't know how. I don't know
how is she pleading.
She hasn't pled yet. She was just arrested on Thursday. Yeah.
Wow. I'll be interested to see what if the evidence is really stacked against her and she pleads guilty. That will be.
Yeah.
I mean, because she could just say she made a mistake, which clearly you don't make a mistake with insulin. Jen says she double and triple checks the insulin usually because it's so precarious.
But here's what I'm thinking. In order to charge her with attempted murder and actual murder, you'd have to prove that this was done deliberately. Like, you know, so which means she would have had to leave that evidence that I have given this person this much insulin, which would really seem like a dumb thing to do.
Right.
So I don't really know. I don't know what they've got on her, but there's like, camera footage, but these things are highly controlled, right? I mean, like, my understanding is like every little milliliter is, noted and checked, or should be at least, right, in these situations. So maybe that's how, like, somebody just was like, wow, these are some suspicious deaths. Let me see what is in their system and then go and check the levels of it. I don't know. But anyway, it's not looking good. It's not looking good for Heather.
Jen in the chat says the vial is scannable, but not the dose. So
well,
that's
how
interesting.
Are they going to get the evidence against her? That might be a little tougher to prove then. It's an honor system to give the correct dose. Oh my God, we are all at the mercy of nurses.
Yeah. But now no one trusts nurses now ever again. I have a really sad, interesting, confusing case that is a lot of fact, a little bit of speculation, and a lot of gossip. But let's just talk about the facts. In Alabama, there was a mayor and Baptist pastor that died by suicide on Friday. His name was F.L. Bubba Copeland. He was 62, and he was publicly outed by a right-wing online source called 1819, which is a blog, for being transgender in private. So what happened was Copeland was known as a, quote, transgender curvy girl and had the name Brittany Blair Summerlin. And their online information was shared on this blog in an attempt to discredit him and embarrass him. Now, it should be said that F.L. Bubba, he went by Bubba, did not identify as trans, but enjoyed this online persona, so they say. But what happened was this blog reported this information and publicly shamed him on Facebook. And obviously he was a pastor and he had to speak to his congregation. And he said, quote, "Yes, I have taken pictures with my wife in the privacy of our home in an attempt of humor because I know I'm not a handsome man nor a beautiful woman."
Oh, my God. This is so heartbreaking.
I know. "I apologize for any embarrassment caused by my private, personal life." So this online bullying continued because he had a political seat as well as a seat in the church. And it should be said that though he was conservative and Republican, he never really spoke out against LGBTQ rights. Like, he wasn't one of those people really pontificating these things and then acting out on him. It was sort of a platform that he steered away from what I understand. Now, of course, he still was a Republican mayor. But what happened was, after all of this abuse and after he addressed his congregation, there were several concerns for his well-being, and the police were called for a welfare check, and they actually saw him in his car, and they went on a slow pursuit. And Copeland used a handgun to sadly end their life, and Copeland is survived by a wife and 3 children. The couple was married for over a decade at the time that he passed.
Wow. What is this blog? Because I'm like, I just want to burn them to the ground.
1819. And it is so very sad because the gossip part of it then spun out into saying that he had illicit and explicit pictures of minors. None of that was true. This was a person living their life however they wanted, living their life triumphantly, living their life respectfully, being a family person, being a person of their faith, and they were ridiculed and bullied to the point where they felt shame for themselves, for their family and they took their life. And it is, I don't have words for how horrible people can be.
Yeah.
When people are just living their life and quite frankly, very privately.
Yeah.
Copeland knew the public persona that their life had. And and to be totally honest and transparent, I'm not sure of what pronouns to use because he said he did not identify as transgender. He
Then
just
I think it makes sense to
dressing
say he.
and everyone used he pronouns. So I am unclear. So I'll just try and use they, them when I can. It's very confusing because much of the footage is of a male presenting person.
Yeah.
And they said they had no plans of transitioning. This is just how a person was leading their life. And it is devastating. It is devastating to those 3 kids. It is devastating that he felt like he couldn't stay.
Yeah. I wonder, I mean, we're talking about Alabama here, deeply conservative Christian South. I wonder if he was not a conservative. Would, first of all, maybe the bullying wouldn't have taken place. But given his position in, whatever political position he had and where the party generally stands on. I mean, the thing is this, there are traditional conservatives who I think for the most part, I mean, who doesn't have people in their family now that are probably identify as LGBTQI? You know what I mean? Like somebody knows somebody, right? Like we're not in such bubbles now that you just don't know anybody like that. And, for a very long time, it took time, but there was a point in time in which much of the conservative party also supported marriage equality, supported gay rights, supported we were the trajectory was going in that direction. And then there was this hard swing, the pendulum. And if he was somebody who didn't really say, I have a problem with people who, I would not feel as much pain and sympathy if this was somebody who, because there are members, I think, of the Republican Party who are probably closeted, but use their public platform to attack others.
We see that all the time.
All the time, right? All the time. When they're outed, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know really if I feel bad for you, right? But in this situation, it seemed like he was just kind of a quiet conservative, and the whole thing is awful, and people are awful. And the live I did just a few days ago, I was just leave people alone, man. Why is this so hard? Just leave people alone.
Just leave people alone. Yeah. Why do you care? Why do you care? But no. Also, P.S. Jesus wore a fucking dress. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He literally wore a dress, and he had hair just as long as mine. What?
Well, maybe not. He was a brown person.
He was brown.
Jesus was a brown person.
I got thrown off TikTok live for saying that Jesus was brown.
Excuse me, what?
I got kicked off TikTok for harassment and bullying.
Because
I said Jesus was brown.
Was a Middle Eastern man? Okay.
Yeah. But I just don't understand. Don't
Moses
you guys
was black.
have,
I
don't care what. I just found out one of my neighbors is poly. I was like, you go. Yeah. I don't care.
What do I care? Exactly. That's the thing. What do you care? I don't understand. Well, but the thing is people who are ideologues do care. For them, it's about the country and the values and they don't. For them, I mean, I can't even. I bet you the person behind this blog is that's. I don't even think they care because it's worth the cost of this life.
It is all about qualifying your hatred. You hate this guy? Cool, because I think this guy is a creep. And let me get this army so that my hatred is qualified. My hatred has a reason, and that reason is the Bible. And my reason is whatever it is, but it's that safety in numbers, which is what I was trying to explain to Lola the other day, was that what we have seen in these past years is Trump making it okay to outwardly hate
100%,
people. Hate isn't going to go away, right?
Yeah.
Just because I say don't hate people, it's not going to go away.
Yeah.
But the ability for it to be out there in the open and that to be acceptable is what we never had as kids, right? I mean, you knew that racist neighbor, but that racist neighbor didn't hang a fucking racist flag in their front porch. They just didn't really talk to
up
the
north,
Asian family or the black family.
Down south, maybe they did. Down south, they might have. But But you're 100% right. I mean, and before Trump, the Tea Party heralded this in, right? Like this like there's no forget decorum. Like we are actually campaigning on hate. Like almost all of our policies have hate at the center, hatred for some group or another. It's all about that.
Women, trans people, black people, gay people,
brown
Muslims.
people. Yeah.
It doesn't stop. Yeah. And that's the thing
It's a really
is
sad
that
story.
then they rallied and then they made this man fear for his life, for his I can't even imagine.
I don't think there was any fear. I think it was shame. I think
shame.
You're
I think
right. It was shame. He just couldn't face, and they knew that. They knew because of the party he's part of. They knew because of the church he's part of. They knew that that's what it would do to him. You know.
Well, that fucking blog has blood on their hands. Whoever you are, blog 1819, and everybody who sent a mean message to that man, his messages were inundated on every social media. Wow. His email, he was a public figure.
Poor guy.
He was a mayor. And every fucking person who bullied him, you fucking have blood on your hands.
Yeah.
That is the ugly, ugly part of people, because I always say people are good because I forget it, and then shit like this happens and I'm just like, why? Just fucking go live your life. Go pay your bills. Go take care of your family. Mind your own fucking business.
Yeah. Why is that so hard to do?
Anyway, so again, my heart goes out to those children, for Bubba Copeland's wife and everybody in his community and in his congregation. And shame on fucking all of you who live in that area and who participated in any form in that. The other thing is, like, you will get your karma.
I mean, I'm wondering legally, right? I don't think there's any way to hold anybody accountable legally for bullying them into this. I mean, it's kind of like the abetment to suicide type of conversation where if somebody's like, kill yourself,
Is that a terroristic threat?
No, it's not. It's not. A terroristic threat is like if you're like, it means I'm actually going to come and attack you. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to blow up. That's a terroristic threat.
But if I say
outing somebody is not a terroristic threat.
But if I say to you online and I am identifiable, like let's say on Facebook, and I say I'm going to kill you, that is a terroristic threat, because isn't a terroristic threat it verbally or in writing? I mean, it might not hold up, but technically, like, you could get charged with that, couldn't you? I mean, it's online bullying, cyberbullying.
Yeah, that's the thing. Cyberbullying laws are still have not quite been figured out. And I think, first of all, every state's going to be completely different. I don't know what it's like in Alabama. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it could be considered a terroristic threat. I mean, but I do know of cases after 9/11, which are actual counterterror cases in which people who made threats online to President Bush for going after Iraq, who are now in prison, who've been in prison for 25, 30 years. So I guess it could depend on the context here.
Right.
But I don't know. But I feel like there should be some accountability for some kind of legal accountability for this. I just don't know if states have laws on the books. You can't do it unless the law already exists. That's the problem. Well, you brought up Trump, and that's my last story.
Oh, boy. She always likes to end on a Trump note. Here we go.
I mean, the man won't go away. You know what I mean? But right now, what's happening today, about an hour and a half ago, Trump himself started testifying in his civil fraud lawsuit. And, Trump testifying is a goddamn circus. So this is not, he's been criminally indicted, I don't even know. I've lost count of how many criminal indictments he's already had. But this lawsuit was brought by New York Attorney General Lilie James, and it's a $250 million lawsuit. It's a civil suit. It is not a criminal suit. And basically the allegations are that Trump and his co-defendants, they repeated fraud in inflating assets on financial statements so they could get better loans. And then, of course, when it comes to paying taxes, they're like, oh, our property's worth nothing. So the judge actually already ruled that the Trump is liable for fraud. Now he's considering how much he's going to pay in damages. And what the Attorney General of New York wants to do is shut down Trump's ability to conduct business at all in the state of New York. I mean, already, this is as Trump is testifying, he has said things like, he said this to the attorney who's the state attorney who's like examining him. You and every other Democrat coming after me from 15 sides, all haters. He has slammed the judge on social media. He has said that the judge is, his name is Judge Arthur Engoron. He said he said this on social media, crazy, totally unhinged, and dangerous.
Yeah.
And a Trump-hating judge who's a disgrace to the legal profession. I cannot imagine saying those things posting those things publicly, and then appearing in front of the judge. The judge keeps saying to Trump's attorney, please control your client, because he keeps going crazy. And the Trump goes, the judge's going to rule against me anyways. He keeps being non-responsive. He won't respond directly to questions. At one point, the state's attorney was like, is it true that your one building, which is 40 Wall Street, that it's that you evaluated it for $550 million? Is that an accurate evaluation? And Trump, instead of saying yes or no, he goes, 5 year statute of limitations. That was in 2014. So he's like, I'm not even going to answer the question. So the judge is like, control your client. Then he leans in and to his mic, and Trump goes, this is a very unfair trial. Very, very. I hope the public's watching. In front of the judge. And then the court's like, we're taking a break. So as of recording time, they were still on the break. So I don't know it's happening live right now, so people can follow it live. But this man, but here's the thing, Trump is still, I think, the leading nominee for the GOP. I think he's still polling higher than any other GOP nominee for the for the election next year. And given what's happening in the Middle East right now, our current president is losing tremendous amounts of support from the left because he's just not coming out as hard as people want him to against Israel. And so it is completely possible that Trump could be president again. And even criminal convictions couldn't stop him from doing that. And if he became president again, those federal indictments, he could actually shut down the whole investigations. He could pardon. He has said, I can pardon myself. And nobody knows if he can because it hasn't happened, but he will do it. So it is in his, nothing will protect him more than becoming president again, because then he can dismiss, his own DOJ will dismiss all the cases against him. This man is going to be president again, Ellyn, I think. I really think so.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
Whenever people, I think about this on a smaller scale with Lola, like if she's in trouble and then she talks back to me, I'm like, where do you think that's going to get you?
Right.
Like, you're already in trouble and you're not humbling yourself. You're not listening. You're just, this is just going to get worse for you. Like, that's the way I think of him. It's like a little kid throwing a temper tantrum. And when you say, like, breathe, let's calm down, he just bangs his head against the wall more. It's like, where is this going to get you, bro?
Well, I think Trump is never not campaigning. Even during his presidential campaign sent out an email, I think today or yesterday, asking for more money because they're saying that he's being, like, politically persecuted through this civil trial. And they're like, look at how they're coming after us. They don't want me to be president or to, be able to campaign. And they're just tying me up in all this legal stuff so I can't actually go on the road and campaign. And, Trump loves his rallies. He's being held back from his rallies. But even this is a fundraising moment for him. And he doesn't care about the judge because he's performing for his audience, which is a whole different audience, his potential donors and voters.
Well, I guess we will see. Let's go. I want to watch it live. He's so embarrassing, and he needs a teleprompter. Somebody get Michelle Obama on the phone real quickly. Does anyone have her number?
Yeah. Well, look, here's the thing. I just saw somebody in the chat say, can I get asylum in Canada? And I remember in 2016, at first it was like, oh, this is hilarious. He's actually going to run. Oh, wow, he became the nominee. This is even funnier. There's no way in the world. But then when it looked like it was like an actual a real race, I remember so many of us were like, that's it. We can't even live in this country. We will have to leave. None of us left. We were here. And if it happens again, we'll survive. We have to just stay and keep fighting. This is how it is. Just keep fighting the good fight for our country. Rabia and Ellyn 2024. I was not born, and we have to change the Constitution. I wasn't born in America. But I could be your vice president, Ellyn. I can't be president, but I could be brave. I think.
Okay. Well, I thought we were just running for Congress.
Oh.
I started that rumor, remember? Ugh.
I thought you started the rumor that I'm running for Maryland State Senate. But
That was
no.
it. Said it. Sorry, I couldn't remember.
But here's the thing. That means I have to get out of my pajamas and out of my basement and actually work like outside in the public. I can't do that anymore.
If
It's too
I'm
late.
challenged to stay in my pajamas, I will win. I was in my pajamas a lot last week. I actually am wearing pajama pants under this. You can only see my nice sweater.
Yeah.
But that is all for this week of About Damn Crime. We will see you next week on Patreon, maybe with some updates because we bring you all of these stories and then so many of them have loose ends to tie up. And join us next week where our guest will be Maggie Freeling as we discuss the Menendez trial 30 years later and what kind of new things have come up in terms of evidence in that case. And
there's so
per
many.
Rabia's request, she wants to read our 1-star reviews next week. So,
Can I start with this one?
okay, she's
By
got
Sarah
one. Here
Marie.
we go.
Robbie is a nightmare. This podcast is boring and garbage. I love you too, Sarah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Who are you calling boring?
Garbage. All right. Okay.
You have another one?
Well, okay. Yes, I do. It says, no longer interested. I wasn't a fan of the Scott Peterson take, but people can definitely have different opinions. What really ended it for me is the constant crap talking about other podcasts while professing they are against bullying or using victimhood, claiming that PTSD isn't an excuse for some people's behavior, but using it to explain their own, and the general condescending vibe. Are we condescending, Ellyn?
Maybe.
I just-
but I don't remember saying that. But
I don't want to be drawn into personal drama.
Oh, it was the Obsessed Fest episode.
Maybe. All right, Allie. I see you.
Yeah. Hi,
I
Ellyn.
see you, Allie.
Anyway, join us next week on the Patreon if you have not already subscribed, and please follow us on social media. You can find us on all platforms at Rabia and Ellyn. I spell my name with a Y. And you can also get Fatty Fatty Boom Boom on paperback. Check it out at www.rabiachaudhry.com. You can also subscribe to my other podcast, I Think Not, with Joey Taranto. It is a true crime recap show where we recap true crime
That should be a
television.
thing, a recap show. It should be a thing.
To some people, it is a recap show. Wherever you get your podcasts. But until then, thank you so much for listening. Please don't forget to send us a message if there's anything you want us to cover on About Damn Crime. And you have a book. Yes, Rabia, we love
But
you.
also, I also relaunched Nighty Night. My Nighty Night's back.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. I
check out
listened
Nighty
to it
Night.
on Halloween.
Did you?
Nighty Night, wherever you get your podcast. You read that Edgar Allan Poe story. I listened to it the other night.
We did Telltale. We started off with the Telltale Heart and Legend of Sleepy Hollow. So that was a lot of fun. But we have amazing stories lined up.
The buttery voice giving you scary stories at night. Nighty Night, wherever you get your podcast. It's so good. Subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. I'm so happy for you. We listened on Halloween night.
Thank you so much. That's exciting to me. Yes, I
That's so
hope
cool.
my voice scared the crap out of y'all. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
The
Love
crap
y'all.
out of me generally. Love you, Rabia.
Love you too, Ellyn.
Thanks for being here, everyone. Bye.